Oh, sorry, guys. This is AG Gregoroff and myself. AG owns Toehold. But we're talking about jiu-jitsu. He's a brown belt. 10th Planet brown belt.
10th Planet Las Vegas, baby.
Well, your jiu-jitsu school in Las Vegas is murderers row. I've never seen that many muscular men and women in my life.
Coach Casey Halstead is building nothing but killers out there.
It's weird to see those guys. Like, you're like, oh my God. It was like one black belt after another. And the blue belts themselves who live at the gym are a whole different level of like just muscular young dudes who are stoned all the time.
Super high.
Yeah.
Super high.
Weed and
taking
jiu-jitsu.
lives.
Do we have, I guess we have a lot of great jiu-jitsu people that smoke a lot of weed. Although Gordon Ryan probably doesn't do a lot of weed smoking. The high level competitors are not smoking weed, right?
I don't know Gordon. I'm sure some of them are. I mean, there's high level guys in 10th Planet. I used to be an operations manager for EBI, the Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Yeah.
And there's high level 10th Planet guys that are on like tons of mushrooms during competition. One guy in particular, I don't know if I should say his name or not, but I don't think he gives a fuck. But he was like, he choked a guy out in competition, and he's like, I could hear people's cell phones like in their pockets, and I could feel heartbeats in the crowd. And
What
like
the
I was like, oh my God, bro.
What was he? How many?
All of the ounces.
Damn.
Thinking all the ounces.
Damn.
He flew in from Amsterdam, competed. It was in Long Beach, so I had to take him somewhere in Crenshaw to find a mouthpiece at some like ghetto Big Five. He competed, choked a guy completely unconscious, and then he was talking about like the rhythmic heartbeat of the crowd, and like could hear thoughts and stuff.
Dude, that's
yeah. So some of the guys get really fucked up.
I could not perform on mushrooms.
Hell no.
I mean, if I had to stand up on mushrooms, there'd be long periods of blank.
When I smoke
space.
weed, I don't even know what to do with my hands. I'm like Ricky Bobby. I just like stare at them, and I don't understand who's controlling them.
If I smoke weed, sometimes I can't even feel like myself breathe. I'm like, I can't do it. You know?
Yeah, I'm the worst on weed.
Yeah. But you'll do mushrooms, but you'll microdose.
Yeah, I microdose probably a couple times a month, and I'll macrodose, maximum dose once in a while.
Which is what, 3 grams?
Yeah, usually 3 grams. But with my thing, I have to be around water. If I'm not around water, I get like anxious.
Really?
Yeah, my things, like every year I go to Florida for like a week, and we take a bunch of mushrooms. I'm either in like a spring or I'm in the ocean the whole fucking time. I won't get out of the water.
Are you scuba diving or snorkeling?
No, just swimming.
You're just swimming.
Yeah, I'll free dive and stuff like that.
But you won't scuba dive when you're on mushrooms?
Oh, I would. I don't want to pack my gear, ship it to Florida, do all that bullshit, you know.
Right.
I've dove enough, like I know it's there. But I'll show up to like a free diving spot, fucked up on mushrooms, just dad bod, board shorts, borrow a mask, and like either break or tie a free diving record. All the dudes are suited up with their long fins and their wetsuit and their weight belts. I just show up and fucking trash them.
How long can you hold your breath?
For the rest of my life. I can just go underwater, hold my breath until I just stop existing, and either somebody saves me or they don't.
Could you think if you had to kill yourself, is that how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I could. Like, we had so much water training. I used to be a military contractor. We used to run the Helo Dunkers at Pendleton and Okinawa, and just underwater, like doing fuck games, like holding your breath, slapping each other in the dick, choking each other out, turning their air off, like when we're diving.
Underwater?
Oh, all the time. I could take a tank of air. Everybody on my team could do this. I could take a tank of air, throw it in the deep end, like a 15-foot pool, swim down to the bottom, and then just breathe off the bottle. You just get like a clamshell in your hand, and you turn on this high pressure or low pressure tank, and you fill up like a little bit of air, and you just kind of clamshell it.
Fuck.
You just breathe off a tank.
Damn.
It's gangster shit.
Now, maybe a good way to die would be to go down to the ocean and give yourself nitrous oxide poisoning, and then just kind of.
Oh, you mean the bends? Yeah, you're not necessarily going to die of that. You'll be.
No, when you get oxygen, when you get like laughing gas, when you have so much, you start to feel like you're just.
You don't know about die physics, do you?
No.
You're just making stuff up.
Yes.
Now, so there's two ways. There's two probably like common ways to die. There's either a lung expansion injury that comes from breathing compressed air at depth and then rising to the surface. And as you come up to the surface, the pressure is decreasing in your lungs, which means the lungs are expanding. And in which case the lungs will overexpand. Eventually they'll pop. Air will trickle out through the alveoli, enter the bloodstream, and then just it goes wherever the fuck it wants to go. They go in your muscle. It could give you like a pneumothorax, subcutaneous emphysema, arterial gas embolism. It's just having like water in your computer. Like it's gonna break something. You just don't know what.
You're a guy who walks around with a shirt that says "fuck communism," and then you start speaking and you sound like a doctor.
I went to 7th grade, bro. I know a lot.
You know a lot about how. And so, what's the other way you can die?
Well, you can get the bends. So the bends is the overabsorption of nitrogen in the bloodstream. And as you come back to the surface, that nitrogen will come out of suspension. And it's almost like if you open a bottle of Sprite or a 2 liter of Sprite, you see those bubbles just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That happens in your bloodstream. And then now you have air moving throughout your bloodstream, which it should not be. And it's just going to cause havoc in your system. At best, it'll cause crippling, agonizing pain.
So what about when you're down there? They say some people take their regular out, give it to fish because they're like hallucinating from too much oxygen.
No, that's just made up shit. The fish won't hallucinate like that. The fish can't.
No, I'm saying you will hallucinate underwater.
Oh, you're talking about getting narked.
Yes, narked.
Yeah, so I get narked at about 157 feet. So everybody has like nitrogen narcosis. So you absorb enough nitrogen in your bloodstream as you go down in depth. It'll take like 10 minutes to explain the physics behind there, but you start getting really lethargic. Some guys are real susceptible. It could happen at 100 feet. Some dudes go to 200 feet and they're fine. At about 150 is where I feel like I just woke up underwater. Damn. So basically, like imagine if you took a bunch of edibles and they just turned on full blast at 150 feet underwater.
So you got to be really careful of that.
Yeah, you just got to know, your limits, and you got to understand. You got to be comfortable diving.
You can also go down 100 feet without realizing it, right?
You mean like
I went down 60 feet, didn't even realize I was that deep.
Yeah, if you're not monitoring your depth, that could definitely happen. But
I almost dived too long. I dived almost for 2 hours when I was in Tahiti, and somebody told me that was way too long.
It depends your depth.
Yeah.
So we dive for lobster at like 25 feet. You'd be down there for fucking hours.
Oh, really?
But if you go down to 100 feet, you may have 10 minutes.
That's it?
12 minutes. And then you start absorbing so much nitrogen that you have to either go into a decompression dive or you just have to come up slowly over a staggered period of time, which you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physics.
I can't add to save my life, but I know a shitload about physics.
And animals. Underwater.
And chicks and flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
And not necessarily in that order.
Well, you said something really interesting because we were having an argument. We've had a lot of arguments about the price of toe holds.
Yeah.
And you always stand firm. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get into that. But what I thought was really interesting was that you said to me, when I sent you your first pair of toe holds, I think I called you right away and said something like, I want to buy into this company. I called you right away.
Yeah.
And you said, why did you do that? And I said, I don't know. And I don't usually say I don't know much. And you said, it's because you saw the quality at a glance. It's the reason that when you see fire, I thought about this a lot. If you see a fire that's made from like a wood burning fire, like it's made from wood, and then you see a fire that's a gas fire with fake logs in it, there's a huge fucking difference. I don't know what it is. But one makes me feel like I could stare at that fire all day long. And it's primordial. It's like it taps into some truth in me or some primal thing. And I think that honest work, craftsmanship, true craftsmanship, which I'm obsessed with when it comes to cheese, when it comes to wine, when it comes to fucking architecture, and when it comes to flip-flops, true craftsmanship, when it takes you 550 steps to make one pair of flip-flops. And when you have a maniac like you who goes, I'm only using the best materials, period. Something about that I saw, and that's, I think, why I wanted to buy into the company, because it felt honest.
Yeah, flip-flops are, it's the most common footwear in the world. And it gets, the word gets dicey between flip-flops and sandals. By definition, a sandal is something that usually wraps around your ankle in the back, like something a Roman would wear. But for like loose terms, sandals, flip-flops, they're virtually the same thing in different forms. But flip-flops is the most common footwear on the planet right now and has been the most common footwear throughout modern times that we've known them. There's 6,000-year-old pairs made out of gold that the Egyptians had. There's like these old, like the way they would tan leather, the way they would process the leather. They have locations in the Middle East that date back 16,000 years. So they've been making like this type of leather.
1600.
16,000 years.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 16,000.
That's what they say. I don't fucking know. I don't know how they guess any of that stuff.
It's probably more like 1600 because 16,000 is 10,000 years. Is not even modern agriculture. But I know what you're saying.
They said 16,000.
Yeah, we'll tell them to shut up.
Yeah, they don't know. But keep in mind, this is the earliest things man did.
Yeah.
You know, tanning animal skin, making fire.
Oh, right.
This is like this is
covering your feet with something.
Yeah, this is the earliest evolution of mankind. So it makes sense that it's that old. I think even before woodworking, because a lot of places didn't have wood. Like Native Americans aren't known for great woodworking because a lot of the places where they lived just didn't have trees, like on the Great Plains. But they're experts at harvesting animals and tracking animals and making stuff out of animal skins and hides and stuff like that. But because they didn't have like access to a lot of stone, like it's all earth. In the Middle East, there's like giant quarries of stone, and they would hollow them out into these big bowls, and they would tan hides in those big bowls. And then the tanning process is different than like rawhide. Rawhide, which you see like on a drum, that's a different process. That's just like getting all the hair off, getting the flesh off, getting the fat off, and then leaving it out in the sun to dry, and it just wraps over something. It's hard. That decays and biodegrades over time and kind of rots if it gets wet. Vegetable tan leather doesn't do that. So kind of to circle back, so this has been something like if you're a city kid and we go out to the woods and I set up a campfire, like you're automatically going to instinctually know that campfire provides safety, warmth, and there's something in your DNA. You're just going to sit there and look at it. You won't take your eyes off it. Staring at the stars, staring at the moon, that stuff's all kind of built into our DNA. Flip-flops is also built into our DNA simply because that's something we've had as people forever. It's something we've always worn on our feet. Yeah. And then different cultures have had to wear boots and things like that. But modern footwear like Nike and stuff like that, all that stuff that we know today is like footwear, that's from the 70s. So there's only really one generation, maybe two generations that's familiar with that. Thousands and thousands of years of people have worn what we have on our foot right now in one form or another.
That's why I said one of the slogans I wanted to come up with was, when you picture your best life, are you really wearing shoes? Because like whenever you think of like flip-flops, it's like you're going back to what it was to be a kid. You're going back to the sand. You're going back to the grass. You know, whatever it is, like you just slide your feet on it and you've kind of arrived at something. You know?
Well, and some people, like depending on where you're from, where you're listening to this, I'm from San Diego. I live in Vegas now, but I'm from San Diego. That's all we ever wore to everything. You go to a wedding, you're in flip-flops. You go to church, you're in flip-flops. You go to football practice in high school, you're in flip-flops until you put on the cleats. And then the moment you take your cleats off, you're back in flip-flops. You would just never wear shoes. If you skateboard, like you'd put shoes on,
yeah,
you know, but that's it. You know, you're always in flip-flops. So that's just part of where we're from and what we've always worn.
Well, why did you want to do like flip-flops that are this high end? Like for real. Like I've begged you many times to be like, dude, let's make $100 flip-flop, not $350, not $500.
That's gay. We're not doing that. So I had $100 flip-flops and they always broke on me. You know, I had those like Havanitas, whatever the fuck they're called, the Brazilian ones, you know, and the thong pulls out and then you're stuck. And I don't just wear flip-flops like around the pool. I wear them everywhere I go. I'm going hunting. I'm going fishing. I'm on a dive boat. I'm going up to the mountains. I'm at a bar. Everywhere I go, I'm in flip-flops. So if they break on you, you got a flat tire. You can't do anything about it. Yeah. And I had a pair of flip-flops from a very reputable brand, expensive flip-flops, probably close to $100. And we were like 4 miles back on this mountain hike on Palomar Mountain. And the thong pulled out. And once you lose the thong, the flip-flop's dead. You can't do anything about it. You know, you can't
well, that's
do
why
anything.
so many flip-flops get discarded into the ocean.
Yeah, we'll get into all that for sure. But so I set out to make a pair of flip-flops for myself. I didn't want to start a brand or a company or make money or any of that stuff. I didn't have any desire to do that. I just wanted to make a pair of flip-flops for myself. So I just researched over time and came up with the best materials and the strongest way possible to do it. And that's the quick version on how we got to where we are today.
You studied in Japan.
Yeah. So At the time, I was in San Diego. I was a military contractor, and I was going over to Japan, Okinawa specifically. My flip-flops broke. When I got to Japan, I had like just some bullshit rubber pair, and we were in the jungle every single night. You know, the jungle in Japan is insane. It's everything you picture: giant centipedes, bats, snakes. Really? Oh yeah, the snakes. It's like the Vietnam jungle, but worse. Snakes that hang out like right by your face, you know, like at face height.
I never would have thought
that's
that.
insane.
Look up the jungles of Okinawa.
Yeah, look up the creatures. They don't even make any sense. People are like, I got pictures of bugs, I guess you would call them, and no one knows.
Japanese jungle snakes. Look at that shit.
Probably habu vipers.
Are they poisonous?
Oh, super poisonous.
Holy shit.
There's mongooses. There's every kind of cockroach, and there's 20 different types of centipedes that I've seen.
I hate
super
centipedes.
furry ones too. They look like a potato with fur coming out of it.
Fuck that.
Then there's the big long ones.
And they'll bite the shit out of you.
So if you go to like, if you go
Oriental odd-tooth snake, you get some weird shit, bro.
If you go to like like in Hawaii or Florida, you go into like the jungle, the forest, you'll see stuff periodically. But in Japan, if you look at your feet, you won't not see something. There's some bug, creature, scorpion, fucking weird thing.
I'm not wearing flip-flops in that environment.
Gotta quit being a pussy.
Wait, bring up the centipedes. Japanese centipedes, Dylan. Fucking Japanese centipedes? I never would have thought that was the case. Yabaro National Park, is that in Okinawa?
I don't know.
I think it is.
If you wear shoes, though, you're going to get those creatures in your shoes. Oh, Jesus. With flip-flops, you at least know.
Well, you know, I was in the rainforest of Indonesia, and I wish I had been in flip-flops because your feet are always wet.
Go to type in Okinawan centipedes. There you go.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, see the furry ones on the left? I don't know if people at home could see this.
Dude.
Yeah, they're gross. They're super aggressive. Oh, check this out.
Oh.
So my first night in Japan, actually like my first week, the first night I was in a hotel, but I got a condo, right, on the beach, really nice place. I walk out on my balcony and I close my sliding door. It's a brand new apartment. It's really nice. And I'm looking over the jungle. There's like my parking lot. I'm on a balcony. There's a parking lot and then there's a jungle. And there's just these crazy screams coming from the jungle, from like the bats and stuff like that. And when I turn around and go back inside, there's a hand size spider on my screen door. Huge. Like, what do they call those? Trees?
Tarantulas.
Yeah, but it's like one of those tree fucking.
I call them tarantulas.
Yeah, look at how big that
huntsman
thing is.
Spider?
They're huge. So
fuck off.
It's like a 9-inch spider, right? So I have these rubber flip-flops on. I take them off and I whack it off my screen, right? And it's on the ground now. It's big and it rears back. It has fangs. They're not like bugs in the U.S. Bugs in the U.S. run away from you. Yeah. These things are territorial. So I just whack it as hard as I can with my flip-flop and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't even move it. So I have to turn the flip-flop sideways and kind of crack it in the head multiple times. It took me like a minute to kill this thing. And it's like trying to smash a crab with a rubber flip-flop. It doesn't give a shit about you. It's trying to like lunge at you. And I was like, holy shit, that would have got into my house, into my room if I didn't close the screen door. But that's my first introduction to the jungle.
I had no
It's nuts
idea.
out there.
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
They will bite you. I fucking hate centipedes. I really am. I'm
they're
very
super, yeah.
squeamish.
If I'm in a pet store and I see a centipede, my caveman DNA makes me want to just trash the whole building and set it on fire.
Cody, what's his name? He gets stung by all these things. He said centipede made him sick. It's a poisonous thing. It really fucked him up.
Yeah.
Never do that.
Yeah. So that's what it's like out there. Anyway, so we came across like this hut in the jungle, and there's like these Japanese craftsmen. Everything the Japanese do is really good. And he had made bags and things like that. And I was like, yo, can you help me make a pair of flip-flops? I want something like this. I kind of sketched out what I wanted. And it took him a couple days, but he made them. And I wore them around, and they were great. And they were kind of like the low-quality version of what we have today. You know, no one invented, like, and flip-flops have been invented forever. We didn't invent anything special. We didn't come up with anything unique. We just used the best shit to make them. So I wear those for years. They wear out. And I want to finally, like, reproduce them. I want to replicate them. So I hit up these guys I seen on YouTube. They're like professional holster makers, and they make like satchels and you know, they make axe covers and stuff like that. And I actually mailed them the worn flip-flops and asked if they could duplicate them. And they could duplicate the leather, but they couldn't figure out the structure of like the tread and the bonding mechanism and how to like secure everything. And it went on for years like this. And I just couldn't find anybody that could duplicate them. So one of my buddies was a contractor. He was still a contractor. He went to Japan, got another pair. I was like, all right, when these wear out, I'm going to figure out how to make them. So years goes by. And then one day I just walk into a leather store and I was like, I want to buy some leather. And I didn't know the difference with leather. Leather is like, well, I seen leather in a Ferrari. I see leather on a couch. My belt's made of leather. Like that chick's bag's leather. Like what the fuck is the difference between them? Well, there's huge differences. Kind of like, I guess the closest similarity would be like with wood. So I go to the leather store and I buy some stuff and it's just trash. It doesn't work. And I'm kind of fumbling through the process and this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And it literally takes me like a year to come up with something that's like even resembles a flip-flop. And I thought it was cool. Didn't really work out. It was just too low quality. And then, you know, my buddies would come over and finally we made something that was kind of nice, you know, nice for the time. My boy Spud, he was like, dude, that's sick. I want a pair. And then one of my training partners at 10th Planet was like, I want a pair. And then a dude from a different gym wanted a pair. So on the weekends, I would just make, you know, flip-flops for them, like just for some guys. And then they just started like, we just came up with the funny name toe hold as like just goofing around.
I love that name.
You know, toe hold is a jiu-jitsu move, like a submission for the foot. And then it literally just became one guy wanted another pair and another pair and another pair. And then it got to the point where I was like, dude, I'm too busy like for my normal job. And I made a decision, like, do I want to make flip-flops and try to build a business or do I want to work at a corporate job? You know what I'm like. I've worked for Apple. I've worked for Toyota. I was a military contractor. I was a high up at LA Fitness. So like I've worked for big corporations, but I'm not a corporate guy. I'm covered in tattoos. I say the C word, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I play the part, but I'm not really that type of guy.
Well, you get your job done.
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, I'm a good sales guy. I was
you're disciplined.
one of the top sales guys at Apple, which was the biggest company in the world at the time. They're number 2 behind that Saudi oil company. And our store produced like $100 million a year. It was insane.
The tuck under design. I would never have told you that was going to work. I would have said,
no,
you're
it doesn't make it.
fucking mind.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense because I would be like, that's going to be the way of my foot.
Yeah.
But
So here's the thing: the leather is the magic behind all this. So what a corporation does is like anybody can make flip flops. It's not very difficult to make, but to work with leather and specifically vegetable tan leather, that type of leather is extremely difficult to work with. Saddle makers use it. Guys who make holsters use it, but really that's about it. Like there's guys that like, you know, have small businesses. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. But that specific type of leather, that's a very, very strong, durable leather. You need to be an extremely high level craftsman in order to understand how to use it. It's not just something you cut and use. And kind of the difference with the leather is, so you get a cow, right? And so you'll get a cow. The cow is where we get our leather from. So it's Black Angus cows. They go to slaughter. The meat's used in the cattle industry, and then the hides rolled up, covered in salt, and sent to the tannery. We buy our stuff from Wickett and Craig, the oldest tannery in the U.S. and the best tannery in the world by far. They've been around since like the mid 1800s. They're up in Pennsylvania in the middle of nowhere, and they just specialize kind of in an old world style of making leather.
Craig.
Wickett and Craig. Shout out to Matt over at Wickett and Craig.
Wickett and Craig. Because it really is unbelievable.
Yeah, so what they do, like they're the magic behind this. But if you were to give their product to a corporation, they wouldn't know how to use it. Yeah. It takes a lot of skill and craftsmanship in order to use that type of leather. And then so you buy a whole side of a cow, right? Like 25 cubic yards or cubic feet. It comes thick. It's like an inch thick, right? And what they do is they split it and they take it down to like a quarter of an inch, right? And the part where the hair would be on the cow, that's called the grain side. And then the back side of that would be the flesh side. They cut off all that loose, fibery flesh. That goes off to somebody else who kind of blends it with epoxies and glues. They press it, they make suede, and you'll get, for another company, what would be like a high quality nubuck or a type of suede. That leather is similar to like particle board, right? Where the strength of the leather is the full grain. That's the part where the hair would make contact with. Everything else is like particle board. So it's a difference between oak or like a very hard, like Brazilian wood versus particle board. They're both wood, but if you know the difference, there's a dramatic difference between the two. One is extremely strong and one's not. And then what they'll do from there is they're like, I don't want to spend all that much. The corporation doesn't want to spend that much money on leather. So let's just take some of the fibers from that leather and maybe we'll sprinkle it in with like synthetic fibers. And then you start getting things called genuine leather. Genuine leather is low grade leather. So if you have like a bomber jacket or a sofa or something that says made with genuine leather, it's crap leather. It's just a little bit of particle board. Then you start getting into fake leathers and things like that. If you buy like a Kenneth Cole belt, huge designer brand, or a Armani, like a lot of the big brands, they'll use just a little bit of leather sprinkles inside of synthetic fabric, and then now it's made with leather. This belt is made with leather. Right. It's not made out of leather. It just has a little bit of leather in there. So because of that kind of trickery the fashion industry does and like the business industry, the customer, like the normal person listening to this, they have no idea the difference between leather. They're like, dude, these flip-flops are leather. Your flip-flops are leather. They're totally different. Ours, you could walk on them for years, and the top of them will show very little sign of wear. The bottom, the tread that we get from Vibram, that's extremely durable, slip-resistant, omnidirectional. That is like a tread on a car. If you just drive normally, it's going to last you for years. If you skid out and fucking slide your brakes around corners and do all that dumb shit.
You do a lot of parkour in your fucking flip-flops.
Yeah, you'll wear them out a little bit quicker, but you can also send them back and for a small fee. We'll retread them for you. But the goal has always been for me to make the best pair of flip-flops for myself. The customers were just a second thought. Like we never wanted to do that. We never wanted to have a big business. It just became so popular that that's what it became. But the goal is still for me to make the best pair of flip-flops possible. That's what I work on a daily basis.
I love it. I love it, man. And every time I tell you we should lower the price, you go.
Doesn't make any sense.
We're not for everybody.
Yeah. If you want to go bankrupt, we could lower the price. I put a video out on Instagram yesterday in our stories at toehold.com at TOE_HOLD. And it was some stingray. And the stingrays itself, which is the top layer. So it goes from the stingray that gets bonded to the Wicked and Craig vegetable tan leather, which is bonded to an orthopedic core, which is then bonded to a Vibram tread. And then there's double-sided straps on there. So just the stingray alone cost us $300. And Bryan wants to lower the price below our cost, which would make no sense at all.
I love it.
I know.
Craftsmanship.
Makes no sense.
Well, I don't know. There's something about craftsmanship I'm obsessed with.
But here's the thing. We're not for everybody, right? So some guys don't give a fuck about flip-flops. Perfect. I don't care. We're not for you.
Yeah.
But we're for the guy or the girl that only wants the best quality shit, wants stuff made in America, wants stuff that's ethically sourced, and wants something that's going to last for a long time. If you don't give a fuck about that, don't buy our stuff.
Well, what about you make flip-flops out of elephant leather and
we do, yeah.
Beast and
so we'll steal elephants from the circus.
Yes.
And then we
kill them when they're young.
Yeah, but with cigarette burns.
Cigarette burns.
So we work with these parks in Africa, and it's so bad. Someone's going to clip that. So we work with these parks in Africa, Zimbabwe, and what's the name of that other place? Botswana, thanks. I always forget the name of that place. Yeah. So with these parks, they're real tricky. So when you think of a park in Africa, think of like a Yellowstone or a Yosemite. They're thousands and thousands of acres, no fences, no gates, nothing like that. And the animals just live there wild. It costs a lot of money just to have fuel to drive around for the game wardens to monitor everything. Well, since it's Africa, they don't have any money. And all the people that love elephants and don't want them to die don't write any checks. So this park has no funding whatsoever. So what they do is they rent out like tours, and they'll have like a Nat Geo guy pay a few $100 and he'll come and take pictures. And maybe if there's like a tusk, not an elephant tusk, but like a tooth or a nail from like a lion, they'll sell that in their gift shop. And they really do anything they can to generate funds for these parks.
Which is very hard to do.
Super hard.
You can give out hunting licenses.
So they'll do depredation tags. So one of the things they do with these parks, but they only do them in countries where like they have somewhat of a government. Pretty much all of Africa's fucked. It's super fucking bad. Like you think about going to Mexico or TJ and you think about like corruption. It's a million times worse in Africa.
Yeah.
So when an elephant is either sick or old, or let's say it's a male and it's past its breeding age, it still wants to fight off and kill the younger males. You know, it wants to protect its girls. Yeah, exactly. So what they do is they're like, well, we have to kill this elephant so that the young ones can breed with the herd and keep the herd growing. Well, they have a couple options. One is they can bring in a veterinarian for like $5,000, fly them in, go through the park, try to find it, euthanize it, and
by the way,
harvest
trying to find it is a big deal.
It's ridiculous. Then you got to have
Do
security.
it by airplane.
Yeah, everything there is expensive. You're not doing anything in Africa, and it's not expensive just because of the vast amount of terrain you need to cover. So let's say they euthanize it because it's old or it's injured. Well, they want to recoup some of their costs. So the way they do that, they'll take the ivory and they put it in like a vault or a safe because they can't resell that on the market. They'll take the bones and they sell them to science and museums and things like that. They'll take the meat if it's salvageable and give it to the villagers. And then they'll take the hide and they turn it over to the government-controlled tannery, in which turns will buy from them. So they'll sell me like, let's say 10 square feet. And it'll be thousands of dollars. I'll write them a check. They send me the license and all that stuff to have it. Now I'm responsible for selling it. They get all their money up front.
Yeah.
I take all the risk. I sit on it. The risk meaning like how long is it going to take to sell it? I sit on it and then educate one customer at a time as to the value of it, how we got it, how we use it. And we wound up spending, I don't know, tens and tens of thousands of dollars to those parks, you know, every quarter. We spend a lot of money with those parks.
Yeah. I love that.
And when the parks
So
run,
counterintuitive. People don't realize what it takes.
no, that's what
Everybody's, I want to save elephants.
you have to put value on them, because what happens is these parks will run out of money, which they're always at the verge of. And then when they run out of money, those game wardens will now poach the animals to pay their family. Yep. And then all the animals are dead.
Is ivory still in demand? I feel like it's been.
It is.
Like, rhino horn is, and we have so much rhino horn in vaults. I think we should just flood the market with all this shit.
So that's been talked about, as them releasing the rhino horn and the ivory, but it becomes real tricky, and you know who's gonna. And then it's Africa, so how the fuck who's gonna release it anyways? Everything over there is corrupt, and their governments are like.
Well, Kruger National Park, they have these Delta guys who are there all the time. These ex-Delta guys. But
was that your boy that we met up in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an area. You know, Kruger National Park is the size of Israel. Like, it's so big, people don't realize. That's why they can lose 19 elephants in, you know, a month. I mean, 19 rhinos in a month.
Yeah. Your buddy said that was 1 weekend. He said over like a 3-day weekend that there was 19 rhinos butchered.
How about that?
That's insane. That's a huge number.
That's a huge number, dude.
And being from San Diego, we have the zoo there and we have the wild animal park. So we grew up as little kids knowing about these animals and like.
It's the best zoo in the world, I think.
Oh, by far. Yeah. The wild animal park is
Louis. That's
crazy.
The baddest motherfucking zoo on the planet.
The wild animal park is like, I don't know, it's hundreds of acres of just outdoor. And you drive around in like
it's basically the same as Africa, that weather.
Yeah. It's, but we learned about these animals young and how instinct they were and how difficult they are to like breed, and just they're real finicky animals. Some of them are real finicky, and even a little bit of human pressure could destroy their population.
100%. Well, one of the things they talk about is that when you make an animal run, when an animal runs away from you or whatever, it can mean the death of that animal because they lost their energy. They have to get that energy back and they can't catch up. So even a predator that has to run for a long time, if they can't hunt right away after that, they could die. So
yeah, Africa is tricky. And then in Africa, there's parts where elephants are almost extinct, and then there's parts that there's too many elephants.
Yeah, they wreak havoc on the topography.
And you got to remember, Africa is huge. It's like, what is it, like 8 Americas?
Oh yeah,
you can fit the whole world in there.
Bring up the map of Africa, Dylan, and show how many.
It's like Australia, the United States, all of Europe, China.
It's nuts.
All the Pacific Islands.
It's so crazy.
Africa is giant. It's not what you see on a map. It's way bigger than that. Yes. It's just done that for scale. But anyway, so that's what we do with the exotics. We get shark too. Shark's line caught from Mexico, so we get a couple at a time.
Now, take a look at this. Bring this up.
That's ridiculous.
I can't read it.
Scroll up a little bit.
You could combine, hold on, go there. You can combine, if you combine the USA, China, India, Europe, and Japan, they all fit into the continent of Africa. Are you out of your fucking mind? Dude.
Look at that.
That is so crazy. That really is crazy.
That gives you an idea for how big Africa is.
Holy shit, dude. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's so nuts. That's so nuts.
Yeah, so that's why we don't lower the price.
Well, anyway, I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah, in fact,
I wanted to get you on this because we've had these conversations so often, and I'm always like saying we should lower price, and you're like, listen, motherfucker, here's why. But you're so articulate about it. There's like a whole philosophy behind it.
Well, we don't make a lot of money. Like the flip-flops are expensive, but they're expensive to make.
Yeah.
There's like 550 steps in making a pair. Our straps alone cost maybe 20, if it's just cowhide, they cost maybe like $27 to make. That's the same cost as what they estimate most Nikes cost to make. 100%. And Nikes can cost upward of like $1,000 if it's like a collector, like some of your buddies.
Well, my favorite is Tom Ford sunglasses. Bring up Tom Ford sunglasses.
So they thing
cost $18 to make.
The thing with a Nike or like an exotic, or sorry, a rare shoe, there's no value. There's no better materials in it. It's not made with like something more expensive. They're all made exactly the same, but because of the scarcity, which is a real thing, the value goes up dramatically. So when you see $1,000, a $2,000 pair of Nikes, they're still only cost $27 to make. They're just rare.
How much are Tom Ford sunglasses? Around $500 for those fucking things. You know how much that material costs?
Bryan owns 47 pairs.
Yeah, that costs, the material there costs about $12 for real. Literally $12 to make.
Let's talk about those stupid shoes that you own. The Golden
Goose.
So Bryan has a pair of Converse.
$700 Golden
Bryan
Goose.
has a pair of Converse.
They're handmade, dude.
That look like he mowed his lawn in them.
They're made in Italy.
And then he worked on a car and spilled oil all over them.
Are they
and
French
they come
or Italian?
new.
Yeah, I know.
I thought they were made in L.A.
No, they're made in Italy.
Are they overseas company?
Yeah. Look at Golden Goose. I own those ones.
They're $600 and they look like a dirty pair of
those are the ones
Google Golden Goose shoes and look at this trash.
No, but they're handmade.
You could buy a pair of those.
Oh yeah, let your
look
dreams
at that with
fly.
the tape. They put
how much are those?
They put tape on them.
They're expensive.
That's so obscene. That's what happens when we live in LA.
What, are those? Let me see how much those are.
Look at the tape on the toe.
How much are those?
These guys or these guys?
Those guys.
$1,900.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, for sure. Don't buy 2 pairs of toe hold
the other
flip flops. They'll last you forever.
I own a bunch.
Those are
$800 for dirty Converse. How come they don't lower the price, Bryan?
Yeah, you're right.
So dumb.
You're right.
So dumb.
Well, listen, we've sold a fuckload. We've sold over 3,000 pairs of flip flops.
Yep.
Right.
We have a huge queue. 200 in the queue right now.
Well, that's why we're going to
take a long time to make. And if you order a pair and you want to know how long it takes, they are done when they're perfect and not a moment sooner. So we work on them every single day. There's always somebody in the shop working on them. All the difficult steps, they all go through my hands still. So we have people on our team that work on some of like the different areas, making the straps, things like that. But all the difficult processes, they still go through my hands. So every single pair, I still have a huge involvement in making.
Well, that's why I keep saying I want you to start numbering these because each one is different. Each one's a work of art.
We can number them.
Well, because I think ultimately when you can't do it,
we can number them, but it's going to cost more money. It's going to cost more.
When you're no longer able to put your hands on each one of them, the ones that you have are collector's items.
Yeah, some people collect them, and we have guys that have
like Andy Stumpf owns 12 of them. Something.
He owns more than that. Yeah. We have guys that own $20,000 worth of toe hold flip flops just this year alone. We have
get kind of obsessed.
Dozens of people who own over $10,000 worth of flip flops.
People think that I'm kidding when I say I own 4 now, and each one has their own personality. Like, so here's the thing, man. Here's the thing I like about anything in life that requires that kind of attention to detail and craftsmanship. It's like there's something about like somebody who works with wood, great, really high-end wood and makes amazing cabinets or a table or a chair. like and the same thing with leather, or the same thing with like, an amazing suit. Like that shit takes years to master, and you become obsessed with the actual material that you're working with. And then you have to know the difference between material. And I'm sorry, it's no different than being an amazing chef. Like I freaked out. I went to French Laundry. I talked about this.
Yeah.
And like, it's the best food on the planet. When you eat that kind of food with a master chef, okay, the amount of time it takes to put that perfect dish together so it explodes in your fucking mouth is a lifetime of work.
This sounds like the type of place that tells you you can't wear open-toed shoes in the restaurant.
Probably. In fact, there is a dress code.
Yeah, fuck that place.
Okay, there's a dress code. And I'll take you there, and you will wear.
No, I'll wear toe holds, and I'll be like, these are $700. And the guy will be like, excuse me. And he'll get out of my way and sit us down.
That's true. That's very true.
And for $2,500, you could buy 4 pairs of toe holds.
I like when you wear your full tracksuit to my shows because you look like an Armenian gangster.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the look we're going for.
And you're Cuban and Russian. That's a good combo.
Yeah, my mom was born in Cuba. My dad's side's from Russia. So let's talk about let's talk about the magic on why these flip-flops are so good. So we talked about for a minute about the vegetable tan leather.
Yeah.
So here's what vegetable tan leather does. And not just vegetable tan, but Wicked and Craig drum dyed vegetable tan leather, full grain, 7 to 8 ounce. It's strong as fuck. It's super durable. It has a crazy abrasion resistance. But what it does is it molds and it shapes to the wearer. So, for example, it's used primarily in the saddle industry, and like the bridles and the harnesses they put around horses. They don't use synthetics in a lot of that stuff because that'll start to conform and reshape the horse's body and its face. If you wrap like a rubber saddle around a horse, it's going to like reshape their ribs. You're going to be able to see the shape of the saddle when you take that off, because there's no give in it, there's no malleability, there's no formability in that. Well, you put that shit on your feet, and then you look like, earlier when we gave Sam Tripoli those flip-flops, you see why his feet look like that.
Yeah.
Is because he's wrapped them in synthetic material for, how old is he? 75?
Yeah, Sam's almost 50. He looks
so
like,
for probably,
he looks like if you ever look at like the Japanese, the Chinese women that had their feet
foot binding.
bound, that's what his feet have
that's
been
what
bound
we
that
do
way.
with shoes.
Dylan,
So,
let me see your toes.
so when you wear shoes, you're binding your toes together. Your toes should be...
You have a good foot, but let me come over here and take your sock off.
No.
Why, you have shitty toes?
I have excoriation syndrome.
What's excoriation syndrome?
Sounds like it's shoe related.
It's when you pick your scabs.
Why do you pick your scabs?
Because I have Jewish neuroses. My hip flexors. That very, very straight leg I just threw up in the air.
What do you do with the scabs after you pick them?
Sometimes eat, sometimes.
Sometimes feed them to your pet turtle?
Sometimes. No, I don't have a turtle. I have a cat named Doc.
Oh, your cat will eat scabs.
This is what happens when you wear shoes.
Yeah, you got to feed
Exactly.
your fucking scabs to your dumb
We need to get,
imaginary
and
turtle.
happy birthday, by the way, Dylan. We got to get him some
Very
toe-hold flip-flops.
Yeah, we do.
So shoes bind your feet. They press your toes together. Your toes should be spread out. If you put your hands out right now and you spread your fingers as wide as you can,
That's how your toes
should be. But we bind them in synthetic shoes. So what the vegetable tan leather does, it molds and shapes to your foot. Also, there's no arch support in our flip-flops. Why is that? Arch support doesn't make any sense. It's the same thing if you walked around with like neck support or a back support. What does it do? It makes your neck and your back weaker. The muscles, the tendons, the ligaments in your feet, that's what holds your foot in the shape it's supposed to be in. So if I was to stuff something underneath there, what your foot does is now arc upwards, which means you get hammer toes because your foot's pointed in a weird direction. Your foot's not supposed to be in that direction. So you shouldn't have arch support. This is what, the fuck do they call those foot doctors again? Podiatrists. Yeah, I always forget that. By the way, shout out to Dr. Sean Reyes. He's dope. He loves what we do.
Sean's great.
So you go to a podiatrist, you go to a foot doctor, your foot's all fucked up. What do? They offer more support, more structure underneath it, and they shear it up even more. That makes no sense. What you need is more movement in your feet. So if you were to break your leg, you go to the doctor, you get surgery if you need it, and then you're back to physical therapy, you're moving it right away. But from the ankle down, we ignore that. We want more atrophy in
That's
our
what
feet.
happened to me, man. I'm telling you, my feet stopped moving. And I remember I did like Taekwondo, so I was always barefoot. and I was always using my feet. That's why my feet are fucking deadly.
So
I'll kill you
I
with
was
my feet.
tired of hearing Bryan complain about his feet on The Fighter and the Kid. I texted him one day. I was like, "What size are you? I'm going to send you a pair of flip flops."
And I didn't even listen to you. I was like, whatever. But I mean, my feet, fuck. So my feet, I had the worst plantar fasciitis, and I would wake up and my feet were so stiff. I looked like I was wearing, my feet were wood. My girl was like, what the hell's going on? You're crippled. I had to warm my feet up, and they was like, you got to stretch your feet. You got to, and mainly arch supports and all that.
Yeah, you just got to use them all the time. I think my exact text message was, quit being a pussy and start wearing flip flops.
Yeah. And then you
That was my exact text message. But anyway, so that's basically what we do.
Yeah.
And they're super dope. They're super durable. They're really, really strong. They look rad. If flip-flops are your thing, hit us up on Instagram. If they're not, then we support all lifestyles.
That's right. What happened, Dylan? Any thoughts?
I'm not that kind of guy. I think that I'm not that kind of guy.
Zoom in on what he has on his feet right now. What are those called?
Fucking topsiders, you piece of shit.
Topsiders.
Made out of really good quality leather.
Are they?
Oh, are they?
What brand are they?
Sperry's.
That's the type of suede that wouldn't even make the discharge pile at Wicked and Craig. But if they're comfortable and you like them, that's all that matters.
Yeah, but they're not comfortable. He just has excoriation form.
Excoriation syndrome.
All right, dude. Well, you're wearing that cap and that shirt. So, oh, fuck. I wasn't even recording this. Hold on. Let me see something. All right, Dylan. Why'd you take the cap off?
You were making fun of it, and then you hit record again, so I wanted to take that away from you.
Wearing your topsiders, your Sperry topsiders?
Yeah.
Do you think that's appropriate? And you're making fun of flip-flops?
No, I'm not making fun of flip-flops. I'm just saying I'm not that kind of guy.
At a glance, what kind of leather is that?
It's a low-quality suede.
It's a low-quality suede.
Yeah. It's not terrible. I mean, it's better than anything Nike would make.
Dylan, you like your Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
If you looked at Dylan like you just met him, you would probably guess right away that he vapes, huh?
I would guess he kills people.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Dylan?
No comment. How come, what's up with all your producers?
I could take you guys.
Him and Chin.
Dylan's crazy. He'll kill everybody.
That's funny.
He'll take his thumb and stick it right in.
Him and Chin look like serial killers. What's with you and having producers that look like
I have better balance than AG, and I have better striking than AG.
Okay,
and
dude.
You.
Ooh.
AG is a fucking brown belt in jiu-jitsu. You don't want to let him grab you. You're too close. You're in a very tight room, and he'll look at him. He's look at AG. He's just arresting. He's a good 270 right now. He's
270, looking thick.
Doing a lot of shit.
Are you going Insta Live while we're recording?
No. I'm recording this.
So what's up with the studio? When are you gonna?
We gotta get a different studio.
When are you gonna do more with the studio?
We're talking about it. I'm gonna send this to you.
So congratulations on getting married.
Thanks, dude. I'm really excited. Well, I will say that there's no other I'm 55, so I'm very happy to give up the ghost and just be married to that one chick. She's awesome.
She's pretty cool.
She's just a badass.
You for sure don't deserve her.
I know. Simplifies my fucking life. It's great. Yeah, marriage is interesting because when you're young, you're like, ooh, you have this fear of missing out weird thing. But when you're older, you're like, this is good. She's also 33.
She's super cool, but there's not anybody I know that's married that I would want to switch spots with.
My buddy said that. My best friend was like, he's 60. He goes, you know how many of your friends are happily married? I go, how many? He goes, 0.
Yeah, I like your friend. Who is it?
Jimmy Burke.
Tell Jimmy Burke I said what's up.
I will. Yeah, it depends on the person. I don't see you being married. I see you being a dad, though.
Yeah.
Be a good dad.
I wouldn't mind being a dad. It's the girl that I'd be worried about.
You're a traditionalist. You're Cuban and Russian. You need somebody who's like a solid citizen, psychologically like made of granite.
I need a chick from like New York who's like pretty, brunette, big ass, but won't put up with any of my bullshit.
That's Italian.
Yeah, I need an Italian chick.
Get a great Italian girl. That's all you need from fucking Long Island or from Brooklyn. They don't fuck around and they'll love you.
It says things like parla and shit like that.
That's by the way, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's the Irish Italian girls that come from that East Coast shit where they don't take any shit from an intact family. That's what you want.
Yeah, I don't want a girl from California who has allergies. I don't need that shit.
No, you want a traditional Italian girl. That's what you want, bro. Yeah. I'm telling you.
But can you imagine?
Dylan, what's your girl?
Argentinian.
Ooh, Argentina.
See,
Do you speak Spanish?
verdad.
Okay, so you don't, but that's okay.
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
How well?
Más o menos.
Dude, I just feel like you're mumbling one word at a time. All right?
No, I just said 3 words.
How'd you meet her?
Party.
At a party?
Yeah,
Why'd you get married?
She touched my thigh, and I knew it was on.
Is that right?
Yeah, when women touch you,
Yeah.
it's usually an indication that
That you should marry them.
they've drank your hormones and you're drinking their pheromones, and then things pop off kind of.
She
like
saw
that.
it. She fell in love with the hillbilly in you or the Jewish guy in you.
Both. They're inseparable.
That's a good combo.
Thank you.
That's a good combo.
It's a very serial killer thing to say.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Drinking the pheromones.
A serial killer thing would be if he was like, I was like, what'd you find attractive about her? And he was like, I thought she had a great looking head.
How much do you think AG's hide is worth?
AG,
a lot.
AG,
It's a lot of skin.
that's cow thick.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you need a
He's a
big
thick
knife.
Kid. He's
Big
a thick
knife.
fucking kid. He's probably killed people before.
That's the podcast.
That's the podcast.
On that
guys.
note,
Guys, I'm going to be, come see me in Bridgeport this weekend. And then October 27, 28, 29, I'm at the Chicago Improv in Schaumburg, Illinois. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, Comedy Zone, November 10, 11, 12. Then I'm in Addison, Texas at the Addison Improv in Texas, November 17, 18, 19. Then Naples, Florida, off the hook, December 1, 2, 3, 4. Come get some. AG Gregoroff, thanks for walking us through the value
when are
of
you going to
Toho.
play that arcade in Vegas again?
When Sam Tripoli books it. Sam Tripoli books it. You know what that was funny about that show? Is that when I put my Dylan, you were there. When I put my suit on, my legs, like I bought those pants, and I realized I was doing a lot of squats because those pants did not fit my ass and upper thighs. I'd grown a little thicker.
Yeah, you're surprisingly athletic.
Not bad.
We went and worked out.
Yeah.
What's our guy's name? Lou? Coach Lou?
People always say that about me when they see me move around. I can do some stuff.
Me too.
Keep that in mind. I didn't ask you, dude. I didn't ask you. And listen, I knew you were going to say something. But let me tell you something. You mix it up with me, I'm going to surprise you. You understand?
Okay.
All right. I got some tricks.
Who do you think would win, him or Chin?
That'd be a really interesting fight. I got Dylan, though, because Dylan's trained. Dylan worked out the yard with Joe Schilling, and he's also a hillbilly. But Chin's Korean. But Chin doesn't train enough.
Yeah, but Korean, like, what does that mean?
Both of them would die because both Dylan vapes, and so Dylan would pull his hip flexor muscle, and then his lungs would give out. He'd get the bends, and Chin would pull his neck or something.
I love Chin, but I think Dylan would take him.
Yeah, Dylan.
Dylan looks mean.
Well, Dylan's a psycho. Look, Dylan. Why are you silently protesting? What do you have to say about this?
I don't have anything to say.
But why are you annoyed suddenly?
Oh my gosh. It's nothing tangible. I can't.
It's just that you know that you have a killer in you, and that if you had to unleash it,
I can't demonstrate how violent my front kicks and how high they are right now. So there's no point in talking about it.
okay, Dylan. But you did pull your hip flexor muscle. I'm just saying.
Because I was seated.
Okay, dude. Okay, bro.
Is there anything worse than a front kick right to the chest?
No, it sucks, but Dylan looks like he wants to do it so badly.
I'm not worried about hitting the chest.
What are you worried about?
It would be 6 inches higher. It's accurate as fuck.
Okay, dude. So you're going right for the chin?
Yep.
And then what are you following up with?
Whatever is open.
Are you using your elbows, your hands?
I'm not close enough to use the elbow.
Yeah.
Maybe a side kick to that soft spot right above the knee, and then
I
maybe
don't think he needs a follow up, bro.
You might not need a
A
follow.
front kick to the face. That's pretty much. That's
That's
wrap.
what you
That's
think
a wrap.
about when you see a person. You're like, I'll front kick that guy right in his fucking chin.
yeah, like Lyoto.
Ooh.
When he knocked out Randy Couture's teeth.
Mhm.
Lyoto Machida.
Yep.
What about
Anderson Silva?
Vitor
When he
Belfort.
knocked out Vitor Belfort. Anderson hit him with his heel. You go on heel, you go on the ball of your foot.
I think he got the ball of his foot to
Yeah.
his chin.
No, actually, it was a heel, but check it out.
Bring it up.
Bring it up. Bring it up. I'm saying the heel, which I was surprised at because I'm hitting you with the ball at my foot.
Let's go get some food
Yeah, let's do that. I'm hungry.
in our flip-flops.
I got elk burger at home. You want to make some elk?
You didn't kill it, so I don't know where it came from.
Yeah,
Who killed it?
I do. Force of nature. Watch this. Dude, that was so
Go
crazy.
back. I missed it.
Dude, that was when Anderson Silva was so fast. Is this what you're doing to people?
This is Dylan. He's loading up. Boom. Ball of the foot to the chin.
Wow.
And then
I mean,
whatever you want to do next.
I think between us, I think Vitor is kind of chinny. I would have walked.
Vitor spent a lot of time.
I would have walked that off.
Well, you're not. Look at. By the way, I'll tell you another guy who fucking starched Tony Ferguson with it was Michael Chandler. That was
Yeah, that was a gnarly one.
crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva was so fast back then. He was just unbeatable.
It kind of, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but we've spoken about how dangerous a cassowary is.
Yeah.
Same reason.
So you're going to cassowary me.
Was maybe Dylan the one who taught him that?
It could be.
Did you ever work with Anderson Silva?
No, I didn't. I worked with Master Song.
What about Master Song is Muay Thai guy?
No, he is a Korean Marine who specializes in a very, very violent martial art form that you constantly mock and will one day, who knows,
Oh, you're not talking about Aikido, are you?
Hapkido.
Yeah. See, the problem with Hapkido is that it's not a martial art, and also there's no kicking in Hapkido.
What is Hapkido?
That's not true.
There's zero kicking in Hapkido.
It's not true.
It's like wrist locks and horse shit like that. Nobody's gonna use.
Is that the stuff that Claude? What's his name?
No, Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that would be the stuff that Steven Seagal uses.
No, it isn't.
All right, dude.
No, it isn't.
I don't need you being weary every time I say something. All right, don't get all weary. Such a fucking piece of shit. It's his birthday, and he's just a
Just
fucking.
mouth breathing
He's
on his
just in a
birthday.
bad mood on his birthday because he's working all day, and he's just got fucking
All day.
1,000-yard
I tried
stare.
giving him money. He wouldn't take it.
No, he wouldn't even take that. Would you give him 100 or
I give him whatever he wants.
yeah? You want $100?
What?
crisp.
$5,000?
You want 5,000? All right. Well, buy 5 pairs of alligator toe holds and then sell them on the black market.
Or one pair of our Himalayan crocodile.
Oh yeah,
Those are $5,000.
those are crazy.
Mizuno forged irons, I'll take.
Forged irons are good. That's another thing. Like Japanese, when you make a Japanese samurai sword the right way, it's going to take you 2 weeks, from what I hear.
I think it's longer than that.
Longer than that. Like the way you make that actual metal.
Yeah.
So when I'm on a vengeance kick,
And the
I gotta take
the
out some bad
process
people?
the process of finishing the sword may only take a few weeks, but of making that like the ore that they use,
Yeah.
that process starts I think maybe a year ahead of time.
crazy.
It's a super long
That
process.
fucking craftsmanship is.
But that's what the
insane.
Japanese do. They're just psychotic about excellence at what they do. It doesn't even make any sense. The guy working at McDonald's in Japan is better at his job than I am at anything I will ever
100%.
do.
This Japanese butcher they were talking about,
And he
the
cares-
way
and
would
he cares
cut-
more.
He could cut the meat, and he could it looked like it was just the weight of his hand because he understood exactly where the grain was. And they were talking about that. And he goes, I know, like he just knew exactly where to cut. It would just be shoot like that. So don't ever forget that, dude. It's all about precision and repetition. Okay.
I know.
He knows. He was telling me. Dylan knows.
Well, that's where your front kick was honed in that tradition.
Yeah.
All right. Fine, dude. The Japanese, with their swords, were known to be able to cut you basically from here all the way down here, and you would just split in two, one shot.
Yeah, their swords are pretty gnarly. But they didn't do really anything for them in World War II.
No, they didn't because we have technology. Bring up Japanese katana masters cutting through shit. Watch how they cut through massive amounts of bamboo and shit.
Do you know what we have? Is we're just meaner than them.
Well,
in World War II, we were
innovation
just
is the machine gun, poison gas, bombs, aerial.
They had machine guns.
Yeah, but just any technology.
Yeah, they had better stuff than us. We were just meaner.
Yeah,
that was it.
Japanese were pretty mean, but they weren't as plentiful. They didn't have as many people. We had a larger army.
We did.
Yeah, and I would argue that their culture stifles innovation. Watch this.
Can they see this at home? The Japanese guy chopping bamboo stalks.
Yeah.
It's not that impressive.
Yeah. I mean, they're fast. Anyway, guys, this has been another episode of the Bryan Callen Show. I hope you've learned everything. And I think we touched on a lot of stuff, Dylan. Dylan, did you get bored during the leather talk, or were you good?
Oh, horrendously bored.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
It's way over his head.
Way over your head, son of a bitch. This has been great. Thanks, buddy.
Tell Ben Ashkin I said what's up.
Sure will.
And I had him on earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Check us out at shoptoehold.com and follow us on Instagram if you like flip-flops and hot chicks at TOE_HOLD.
We're out. Down, 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 down.
Bryan Callen, this is his intro song.